rules again against boxing, because that's what it's all about. Can the boxer beat the MMA guy? So McConnor put his dumb ass in a position where he's going to get knocked out, because this guy's been doing this all his life since he was a little baby. And McConnor can't kick or grab and stuff. He's not going to stand much of a chance. McGregor took the biggest sucker rules in the history of boxing.
Completely agree. Would have said it differently, but completely agree. Conor McGregor's a sellout here, and yet he's the one doing the taunting. I may not like Mayweather, but here's what this fight potentially was, and here's what it is now. The interesting was negotiated out of it. Interesting would have been, okay, we use MMA gloves, but we fight in a boxing ring. Conor said, no, I just want the money. Interesting would have been, there's no holding, but I can kick once around. Conor McGregor said, no, I just want the money. This is Usain Bolt, Mayweather, against a decathlete, McGregor, in a 100-meter race. Usain Bolt / Mayweather is running the one race he has mastered. If you forced Usain Bolt / Mayweather to throw a javelin, to do a triple jump, to do the 1,600 meters, to do the high hurdles, that's interesting. But McGregor sold out. It was 100% a money grab. McGregor negotiated the interesting out of the fight. Any chance he had, using MMA gloves, maybe an octagon, a little holding, a half dozen kicks, he said no. Whatever soul and integrity McGregor had, he sold out for cash. And yet he's the one doing the trash talking. He's the fraud here. Remember when Dana White came on the show? Do you remember that? And Dana White said, this was the easiest negotiation I've done in a long time. Remember that? He was on the herd. Listen to this.
It wasn't that hard to get done. In the beginning, when we were even talking about this thing, and I was joking, saying, this would never happen. First of all, I got McGregor on my side. I got the UFC, right? Then you got Mayweather and his team on the other side. You got Al Heyman. Then you have Showtime. And I was just like, this is going to be the craziest, and it really wasn't that hard. Well, that harder negotiations with people in the UFC that don't matter.
You do know why it was the easiest negotiation. Because Conor said, just pay me. This was not about integrity. This was never about a fight to have some MMA rules. McGregor's only chance as the decathlete, a multiple skilled fighter, to beat Usain Bolt, the world's best sprinter, was to force Usain Bolt / Mayweather to at least compromise some of his skills. This is going to be a total, absolute, inarguable mismatch. Conor will not win the fight, will not win a round. I doubt he lands multiple combinations. That's what a sellout deserves to happen to him. Christine with the news.
No.
Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
Are you surprised to say Christine with the news?
Was Christina with the news. So
two different people.
Have to recalibrate here.
You could just look at me and see that I am Christine. That would work.
I could do that. That's a good point.
Yeah. So LeBron James this morning sent out a tweet, and this is in response to what your old pal Stephen A. Smith said, that LeBron James would be tempted to beat his, meaning Kyrie's, behind. We'll use that. So LeBron tweeted, #NotFacts people, boo. This is clever. Get another source. Enjoying my summer. You do the same. His emoji use is impressive. I'll give him that. I would have never thought of that little face with the screaming boo thing.
That's funny.
I think LeBron... First of all, do you believe that Stephen A. really knew that LeBron wanted to beat Kyrie's butt?
Well, LeBron has about 4 or 5 buddies around him. I know a couple of them really well. One really, really well. And, I've been told that LeBron was not happy.
Yeah, but to say that he's going to beat him up, that's kind of a different thing. So I totally understand LeBron putting out this tweet and saying that that's not true. He has to, because the way that LeBron operates is kind of as the GM of the team and the guy who recruits people. So you don't want storylines out there that this is what you're going to do to a guy if he wants to leave. That said, I support Kyrie wanting to leave. I think we've heard so many rumors, especially lately, about LeBron potentially going to the Lakers. So why should Kyrie just sit there and wait to see what LeBron wants to do instead of taking matters into his own hands and creating some stability for himself?
Yeah, I said this yesterday. I've got two takes. I have no problem. Innovators eventually face imitators. LeBron was the superstar leaving, and now he's facing guys doing the same thing to him. KD, Kyrie. So that part I totally support. I do think, however, it's a mistake by Kyrie because I don't think LeBron ever, when he went to Cleveland initially, Christine, I don't think LeBron went from Miami to Cleveland, going home and all that stuff, thinking, I'm just going to be here for a few years. I really do believe LeBron wants to stay in Cleveland forever.
Sure.
And now with Kyrie ditching and a roster full of old guys who can't defend, LeBron is feeling somewhat trapped. And the chances for him to leave now, LeBron, are through the roof. I don't think he ever went to Cleveland, so I think LeBron is upset. But like you, LeBron is passive-aggressive, will not come out definitively.
Wait, like me. You said that wrong. I'm not passive-aggressive.
No. I'm saying LeBron's passive-aggressive. So LeBron won't come out and just say, I'm staying in Cleveland forever. So if you won't do that, the messaging is around the league is, well, I don't want to get stuck in Cleveland.
Right.
So that part I get, Kyrie. I just think the decision to leave LeBron, you don't leave the best player in the world when you're virtually a lock to get to the finals. I just don't. I think you leave to that, not away from that.
Sure, but then what happens when LeBron leaves and now you're stuck in Cleveland and
you're not, more year.
Right, but you're not maybe as valuable in the trade market, or it's a little tougher to get traded after the fact than it would be to be right now. And to go to a team and maybe set up your future a little sooner. He doesn't want to wait 2 more years. And he's probably, honestly, I've told you this before, is Kyrie hasn't always been thrilled with LeBron. I mean, last year it was great because they were winning, but before that, LeBron would often go out with the opponent's teams for dinner and not his own teammates, and that has to sit with Kyrie a little differently. And then to hear that LeBron is planning on leaving, of course Kyrie is going to try to say, all right, I need to do what's best for myself in this situation.
All I know is Klay Thompson plays with 3 other stars, not a peep. Kyrie plays with 1 other star, and he shoots more shots a game than LeBron, never has to guard the best player because of LeBron. Best player never guards him, they guard LeBron. And is the number 2 guy, I'm not getting enough love. Klay Thompson is a great player, is the 4th out of 4, although he's better than Draymond, and on some nights better than Steph. And he just plays basketball, doesn't worry about his ego.
Wait. First of all, this is the first peep that we've heard out of Kyrie, and I wouldn't even call it a peep because he hasn't said anything. It just leaked that he wanted the trade. Well, he's typically a very good team player, keeps his head down, does his work, doesn't say much. So for this to leak...
Not much of a peep. It's more like a bomb.
It is, but he didn't say it. It leaked.
Well, leaked or not, it's true.
So?
I think he's making a big mistake.
Agree to disagree on that one. So now Kyrie Irving is putting out, or his people are potentially putting out a list of where he would like to be traded. The Celtics aren't on that, but they did reportedly reach out to the Cavs to say that they would like to be kept in the loop on what's going on. They could use a guy like Kyrie Irving on the Celtics. And did you know this? Kyrie's dad played at Boston University, where I went to college. So he does have a little bit of a Boston connection.
Wait, listen, Boston can absolutely give the most for Cleveland. There's no doubt here. I mean, Boston's the one team in the NBA that can say, we'll give you a really good point guard and a number 1 pick and 2 starters. I just don't know if Cleveland's going to say, we'll never beat you for 8 years now.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It does make sense with the assets that the Celtics have.
Yes.
But do the Cavs want to hand probably the only other really strong competitor in the East one of their best players?
I'll make you a deal. You know how I hammer Boston? If they make a deal for Kyrie Irving, I'll never say a bad word about all your friends with the Celtics. Because that's a really, really great deal. Kyrie, Gordon Hayward, Horford, Jason Tatum.
Can you also see it could be something where the Cavs say, hey, we're willing to trade you to a handful of teams, but the Celtics are not one of them. Just like Paul George, he was not going to an Eastern Conference team. So you can't say that you only give the Celtics credit for completing the impossible.
They can have Kyrie Irving if they want him.
They would just have to completely gut everything.
Oh, gut nothing.
And finally, the Celtics did do this correctly. You still haven't given them credit for it, but they did get Gordon Hayward. And some people were saying that it was because of Brad Stevens, that he had coached him in college, so now he'll revisit him in the NBA. But Hayward is now downplaying his relationship with Stevens.
The relationship between Brad and I has been completely overstated and overhyped from everybody. And I played for Brad for 2 years.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like everybody kind of made it seem like we were besties or something.
Right.
But everybody else was saying, oh, he's going to go to Boston because of Brad. And we had a great relationship, but it wasn't like we were constantly texting each other or calling each other or, you know, it would be, he's the head coach of the Boston Celtics. Right. He's got things to worry about.
And you played longer for Quinn Snyder than you had played for Brad Stevens.
I played for Brad for 2 years.
Now, I don't get this. The only thing I could think for why Hayward, like, why would you come out and say, oh, yeah, we're actually not that close? He's obviously trying to control some sort of narrative, and I don't know, like, maybe he doesn't want to be seen as the teacher's pet on the Celtics.
That's probably it.
Is it that, or he just really wants to control the messaging of why he chose the Celtics and doesn't want people to think that it's one thing when really it was another? I don't like this, though. I don't think there's any reason to say we weren't that close.
That's a good point. I didn't think about it. Quinn Snyder coached him longer than Brad Stevens. I didn't think about it in those terms.
But come on. I think that was definitely a factor for him going to the Celtics. I'm sure Brad helped in the recruiting process. Like, maybe you don't want to be the teacher's pet, but at the same time, if you're close with the coach, sometimes that will help with the other players because they can go to you like, hey, what do we need to do for Brad? That sort of thing.
Christine with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
Well, I have never seen in my years in the media a schedule like the Dallas Cowboys. Of their 16 regular season games this morning, I believe there are 12 that feel big enough to be a national TV game. Comparatively, the Patriots only have 4. So the Cowboys now come in as a target. Dak Prescott being mentioned as a Pro Bowl-level franchise guy. Last year, this was not the same camp. Let's go via the Cowherd Global Satellite Network from Cowboys camp. Longtime reporter Bob Sturm. He is at the Cowboys camp. He works for The Ticket in Dallas, which is the highest-rated sports radio show in America. And he works for the Dallas Morning News. Okay, Bob, let's start with this. Let's go 1 year ago to today. Cowboy camp last year at this time and Cowboy camp this year. What are the differences?
Well, it starts, I suppose, Colin, with the idea that 1 year ago, we were wondering if Dak Prescott was able to pass Jameel Showers to be the number 3 quarterback on this team as a late fourth round compensatory draft pick. Now, of course, he's the man. Tony Romo, this whole thing was built on him and his back and his injury problem. And everyone said, I remember the Mumford procedure. We were going to fix this collarbone once and for all on his back. And it's all going to be fine, guys. This team is healthy and ready to roll behind Tony Romo. 1 year later, of course, he's not even in the organization. And it's Dak Prescott and, of course, the traveling circus that is the Dallas Cowboys. So the beat goes on. It's my 20th camp with these guys, and every year it's something crazy and something different.
A lot of times, Bob, because of the popularity and just the overall gravitas of the Cowboys, that a local story, it feels differently locally, what you cover and what I cover nationally. Ezekiel Elliott came out of Ohio State gifted, but there was a personality. He could be difficult. Is this Ezekiel Elliott story? It feels like to me, here's a kid who may get suspended and miss a month, but how do you think it plays within the locker room and with his teammates?
That's a great question. Usually best answered with the idea of on Sunday, is the guy everything that makes him worth the headache? And we went through this with Dez Bryant. We went through this with T.O. We went through this with countless other guys who've come through this organization. And really what separates one from the other is on Sunday, is it worth the circus that goes around it? I'm not positive Ezekiel Elliott, has the type of baggage that he is accused of, just because so many of these cases are are, well, this sort of happened and maybe this happened, but we can't get any proof of it. And so I'm really uncertain about the level of suspension. I do know this. On Sunday, he is everything they said he was going to be. I was not a fan of taking a running back that high in the draft. I just think it's crazy, and the way the NFL values running backs, the way their careers are so short. To take one at number 4, you should take a guy I think that's with you for a decade. For me, it was Jalen Ramsey last year. They went with Zeke, and obviously Sunday to Sunday, you saw this guy is not just a running back. He's an extraordinary running back, possibly the best